biggest thing right now is the fact that we're looking at possibly 3 rate hikes now. Very different from what we were seeing earlier this year. And
did the curve flip already? Like, do they already have that?
Yeah, if you look at the CME FedWatch thing, there's already been a 25 basis point hike priced into March, but now May and June are also pricing in 25 rate hikes, and I would imagine
that the chance of a 50 has to go up.
Exactly. I think for March might have there's like a 25% chance now or something like that. So
okay.
Things are changing as we speak, man. And, it's been 3 weeks now where we're looking at SPOOs being down, but really it's been accelerating since Valentine's Day, and that's kind of where we get the hard day hangover from. Let's move to the next slide. Oh, I'm so pissed about this bark. S&P 500 is looking at the third consecutive negative week. Dollars up 3 weeks in a row, too. I mean, obviously that doesn't help things, right? We got a GDP number this week that shows it was positive. And obviously that's a good thing, but it's still kind of in that category of positive macro news is kind of negative for our markets. And because we're looking at possibly more rate hike, which is exactly what we're dealing with right now. Again, we got that measure this morning. That's really was one of the main reasons why we're down 50, as we talked about. Yeah, I'm selling them, Frankie. I'm selling them all. We also had consumer spending rise. Look, it seems like there's no pressure, it would seem, on people overall. I mean, things are generally good, and as a result, it's given the Fed basically more runway to keep hiking rates, which obviously is spooking stocks. Speaking of stocks, Nvidia was up 14% on earnings, man, and from what I heard, they mentioned AI like 80 or 90 times on the call.
It's a new blockchain.
Yeah.
I mean, Nvidia has AI in the name. It's just in the wrong order.
Wow.
I mean, come on.
That was a deep cut.
Wow. That was good.
You like that?
That was good. Yeah,
I was saying, Josh and I were talking about this on desk one day. I'm like, look, anybody who has I and A somewhere in the name, they need to work it out somehow. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Do you
remember the Long Island iced tea blockchain?
Green Mountain Coffee Roasters.
Yeah, GMCR. Yeah,
they're like, blockchain, stock moons.
Yeah,
it's just a way to pump your earnings. Just say AI in your conference call, and you're golden.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I mean, even Overstock was mentioning blockchain stuff. I was like, you guys?
Overstock, they get into they did the blockchain thing. What is that?
Radio Shack.
OSTK. Down at $20. But it was in the 60, 70, 80 handle at one point.
I know, right?
It's crazy.
So Nvidia is the latest one. Obviously, we've already heard this rumblings about Nvidia and their AI chips, but it's almost coming at a perfect time for them, right? Because the whole PC business is slumping. Nobody's buying new computers left and right anymore, like they were 2-3 years ago. And so this AI thing has come at the perfect time for them. I mean, who knew? Mm-hmm. Retail, though, Home Depot and Walmart, they both slumped this week on guidance, but they also still kind of have these higher inventory issues, which we heard a lot about last year. So retail is still in a little bit of a precarious situation. And VIX, it's funny, put this on the slide yesterday. Yeah, it was kind of like, okay, we rose above 22 for the first time in 6 weeks, but that was 2 days ago. Well, put it right back there. VIX is above 22 once again. So seeing a bump in volatility.
Still no fear, though. I mentioned it with Vanetta earlier this morning. If you look at VVIX, which is volatility, it's still in the 80 handle. It's relatively low, projection of future volatility. I mean, yes, we get a little bit of a pop in volatility with the market moves that we're seeing, but it's not like people are running towards the exits here. It doesn't seem like it. It seems orderly and no fear, really.
Yeah, true that. I think because we've kind of been dancing around 4K, I wonder if something happens if we get below 39.50. It depends on the fashion, I guess, too, right? I don't know.
Well, we're close. 39.63 right now. Low of the session, down 55.
I mean, if we get a solid another 50 points off of this.
You think we see some volatility?
I mean, I think maybe we go to 24, but even I don't think the panic comes. I don't really know if it reduces. That's the thing. The panic only comes when it's something unknown. We know exactly why we're dropping. It's rates are going higher, right? I mean, 2-year yields is exploding right now.
Yeah.
Probably strong, but on the week they have, right? And so, I don't know We need not only this yield situation, but something else that we don't even know about to get us to 30. Honestly,
True.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree.
We'll get to the next one. Well, there it is, smack dab. I mean, Fed's expected terminal rate, it's risen 50 points. That where we're expected to end, right? Like, it was 4.8, and now it's upwards of 5.3% that we're expected to end. And keep in mind, we're at 4.5 to 4.75. That's the target rate right now. So expect things to go higher. Expect to pay a little bit more on APR on your credit card. Expect to pay a little bit more on mortgage rates. Are probably going to move a little bit today. I think we were below 7. They're probably going to go back up. You should be getting a little more on whatever CD or something you get at the bank, but
you won't be.
They're slow with that.
Yeah, they're slow with that. They really wait on that. I was actually looking at those the other day, like for like 3-month CDs, they were at like, 3.75 or something like that, 4%. I was like, what? Where's the other percent? You shorten me 0.5% here.
Yeah, they don't. It's not like costs are rising. We pass this on to the consumer.
Yeah, no.
Costs are lowering. We're going to give you a discount.
Well, they pass it on in the APR that in your credit cards.
Yeah.
It definitely goes up. It goes up every penny and then some. There's like a little juice on top of that. But when they're paying it out to you, it's a little bit less. There's a real good spread there. I think a market maker needs to come in and get some of that spread.
Oh, they know. I mean, they are the market maker. They know what they're doing.
We need another one. JP Morgan, I don't think they give up their spot very quickly without a fight.
No, hell no. Let's move ahead to the next slide. Another bond slide. This is SPY and this is IEF. IEF is the 7 to 10 year Treasury bond, but essentially we've been seeing Treasury bonds and SPYs moved in the same direction for the better part of a year and change. Remember back in November 21 when we had not only Omicron, but Powell was like, we need to stamp out inflation. And that's when they declared war on inflation. And this thing has been moving together since. And I don't think we're going to see what we want to see from a bullish standpoint in stocks until this thing actually decouples and one is going one way and one is going another. So yeah, I mean, bonds and stocks have been moving together. If you look at bond notes today, they're down. If you look at stocks, they're down, right? Because yields keep ripping. So, this thing changes. What are you going to do, man?
Yeah.
Let's move ahead to the next slide. Dude, oil, super quiet, especially on the volatility front, man. I mean, look at, the historical volatility, look at implied volatility. It's just falling off a cliff. On average, if you just eyeball this thing, it's probably been in the 40, 43, 45 range, and it's just died on a vine. I mean, oil has been fairly quiet. I talk about this a lot with Vecchio on Futures Power Hour, and it's every time we pull it up, it's just in the range between 72 and maybe 82. I probably haven't touched 82 in a while, but I think fair value for oil is like 77, 78. I don't know. It's been really quiet. You guys done anything in oil?
We've been trading it a little bit, just kind of buying it when it's low in micro crude oil. But it's kind of crazy when you look at the year-long charts. It has been in the 72 to 85 range for almost a year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
The question is the floor built in? Is the SBR refilling and all that stuff, is that kind of just the bid in here? Maybe that's suppressing volatility as well.
Yeah, and like that's a good point because on the news front it's been quiet too. Like we haven't heard much about the SPR, we haven't heard much about OPEC Plus. Like there's no meetings. Like it's weird.
Yeah, it's very quiet.
I mean, gas is still fairly elevated in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah, you don't get that. Again, that's the same thing like with interest rates. It doesn't matter what the product's trading for. You got to go through the middleman, and the middleman gets a skim.
It's like natural gas. When it was down at 2, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get like a $50 gas bill. No, same price.
Start pumping the heating in the apartment.
Yeah. No, I know, right? Change. I mean, it's a trip, guys. People out there, as you can see, the three of us, we see these inconsistencies in real life in some of these numbers. It's a trip.
Of course. Yeah, it's real. Natty gas, though, up 99 cents.
You love to see
9.5 cents.
You love to see it.
It can't go to zero, right? I mean,
I don't know.
We say it's got to be worth something. A penny, 2 pennies, 3 pennies, got to be. I told Mikey, because Mikey's been like long this for too long.
Since 5.
I said that if he has a position on when it goes negative like oil did, that's got to be the end of it. You can't trade it again ever.
Yeah.
Like if you make natty gas go negative, That's too many standard deviations to deal with ever.
Oh my God, way too many. That's oh my God.
It's just
that gas has been tough, man. Like just every day. Dude. But although there was two upticks a couple days ago. I guess this might be the third day in a row. It's up.
It is.
I think the third day.
This is a very good sign for us.
3-day move.
I don't know when the last time it was up 3 days in a row.
Mikey might actually scalp out of that one.
Yeah,
we'll
see.
Let's move ahead to the next slide. Oh, how much more can rates hurt the housing market, man? I mean, that's another thing we've been hearing about. Obviously, rates are going higher again, we just talked about it. But existing home sales declined for the 12th straight month, which I think is one of the main reasons why when you look on this chart, you see not all, you got 4 home builders here and Home Depot. Mm-hmm. And if I had to guess, with purchase application dropping 28-year low, not as many clearly people. I'm not saying there's no homes being bought, but not as many people have bought homes, and existing home sales are declining. I think that's one of the reasons why Home Depot struggled on earnings. Most of these stocks are still up on the year, but as rates continue to go up, what's going to happen in this space? So something to keep an eye on. I mean, volatility might pick up in this space overall, but I've been watching it. I'm sure you guys have too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been interesting for sure. I have a good friend in the mortgage rate industry, and he says it's been pretty wild times for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine. They've had a lot of volatility over these last 3 years, honestly. Yeah. Let's move ahead to the last slide. As we just talked about, nat gas, man, tumbling below a dollar handle, and was the first time since September 2020, but starting to bounce back. Maybe it was the bottom. We'll see. It's trading, I think, over the last like 14 to 20 days is trading in like this 2.5 range. Mm-hmm. And it traded obviously below that over these last several days, but seems to be trying to get back there. I think if for some reason this thing can reclaim, I'm just guessing, I don't know, but I'm thinking if for some reason it could reclaim 3, maybe it could sort of stabilize. We'll see.
Mikey's with you.
I'm praying for that.
I'm sure you are. Apple, this week they mentioned their foray into healthcare, this no-prick glucose monitoring. But the whole point of mentioning this is I've noticed Apple and obviously Meta too, I'm going to group this together. Meta unveils this new subscription service, or basically they're copying Twitter. But these guys are starting to try to find new revenue streams, obviously, as, the old stuff just ain't working no more like that, right? Mm-hmm. They're trying to get back into their growth phases, which is probably going to be next to impossible, but they're still trying with these new different things. And then Russia's invasion of Ukraine hits 1-year mark, man. I mean, craziness that we saw a year ago. It's wild to believe that how fast it's changed, but nat gas, look at the prices changed. Obviously, stocks have changed. I mean, we're still not nowhere near highs, and yet overseas, in Europe and France and UK recently hit all-time highs in markets. So it's kind of crazy. I wouldn't have expected that to see them hit all-time highs before we hit all-time highs. Interesting. Finally, research for the week. Feb 22, OJ, is legging worth it? Part 2. Check that out. See what you think. That's all I got, man.
Good stuff, Jamal. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. E-mini S&P 500 futures down 53 right now. We'll see if we get under that 39.50 mark Jamal was talking about. We're going to take a quick little 90-second break and come back, though, with the opening bell, and we'll get to some trade ideas for Fast Market after that. So we're going to take a quick little break. We'll be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Tasty Live.
Honey, come clean up the bath.
Come on.
Yeah.